exhausted, frustrated, feeling helpless. You've tried everything, bed alarms, limiting fluids, waking them up at night, but in the morning, there you are, washing sheets again, watching your child feel embarrassed or worse, ashamed. The hardest part? No one has real answers, just vague advice that doesn't make sense and solutions that don't actually work. Or they'll tell you it's just a phase, they'll outgrow it. Let's be real. You know there's something deeper going on. Your mom instincts and senses are telling you something's not right. And you're right. Bedwetting is not a bladder problem. It's a brain problem. The reason your child isn't waking up is because the brain never gets signaled the bladder's full because it's not. And here's what no one is talking about. The biggest reason for this is how your child breathes at night. If your child is breathing through their mouth instead of their nose, they get 18% less oxygen to their brain. And when oxygen levels drop, the nervous system stays in survival mode, fight or fight, instead of restorative sleep. When that happens, the body stops prioritizing bladder control. In mouth-breathing kids, ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone, can be disrupted at night, leading to nighttime urination or bedwetting, also known as nocturnal uresis. That ADH hormone normally rises at night, allowing the bladder to hold the urine, preventing them from waking up or bedwetting. But in mouth-breathing kids, they have poor oxygenation, sleep disruption. That leads to the central nervous system keeping them in fight or flight. So they have low ADH levels. They could have enlarged adenoids and tonsils from mouth breathing that impacts their growth hormone and bladder control. So what should you look for? Open mouth during the day and night, snoring or nosy breathing, waking up tired, night sweats, night terrors, frequent nighttime urination, dark circles under their eyes, difficulty focusing, behavioral issues due to poor quality sleep. They're sleep deprived. Think about how you would feel if you're sleep deprived and all this was going on at night. You didn't know it. Do you think your kids can tell you this is what's happening at night? I'm not sleeping. They don't know that they're having disrupted sleeping. Their pillows could be on the floor. Their sheets could be all messed up. What can you do? Look for nasal congestion. Do they have a tongue tie? Are they having nasal issues? Are they having sleep disorder breathing? Do they need to see an ENT, a pediatric doctor, a dentist, a myofunctional therapist? Or do we just need to encourage nasal breathing, nasal hygiene, and proper tongue posture? Why do the alarms not work? Because when the alarm goes off, they've already peed. It's not a bladder issue. Again, it's their brain telling their bladder to void even when it's not full. I know how frustrating this is because I was that mom. There's good news. There is something you can do about it. Let's start with 3 simple things that you can do right now. First one, check your child's breathing. Are they breathing through their mouth or their nose? Do they breathe through their mouth during the day? Do they sit with their mouth open? Or take a video of them about an hour after they go to sleep. Are they sleeping with their mouth open? If this is happening, they're in fight or flight mode. This is why they're not waking up to pee and why their bladder is making them wet the bed. We have 2 airways, our nasal airway and our pharyngeal airway. It starts with our nose. The air travels through our nose and comes down and goes into the respiratory system. So the first thing we need to do is make sure our nose is clear. You can do that by putting a wash rag on their nose, blowing their nose before they go to sleep, making sure it's clear. You can take your phone and put it under and breathe and see if the air is coming out the same on both sides. Do they have a nasal obstruction and they need to see an ENT? I have a video that shows you how to unblock your nose if they're stuffy. You can look at that and see if they can unstop their nose. Can they breathe through their nose for 3 minutes? If they can breathe through their nose for 3 minutes, they might not have an airway obstruction in their nose. Number 2 is strengthen the muscles of their tongue and their face. A weak tongue collapses the airway or blocks the airway, disrupting sleep. When the tongue doesn't rest in the roof of the mouth and they're growing, it narrows the roof of the mouth, which is also the floor of the nasal cavity. So when it's not wider, the nasal passage is smaller, making it difficult for them to breathe. So sometimes simple breathing exercises and tongue posture exercises can help. So we really need to be looking at this when our kids are getting their baby teeth, when they're 2 or 3. They can only breathe through their nose till they're 3 months old. So they start mouth breathing with environmental issues, allergies, dust, dander, dairy. These all create how they grow and develop and their tongue posture. That's something that we can talk about and look and see how they're compensating if they have a dysfunction. Poor sleep leads to lack of focus, harder waking up, wanting a nap. All of these things are affecting their sleep. I remember being frustrated finding out that I spent over $10,000 on treatments, devices, and specialists, and none of them worked. She still went to bed till she was 13 years old. I'm a dental hygienist. Her dad is a dentist. Her grandfather's an orthodontist. None of us were taught to look at how the tongue was functioning and the position of the tongue when they're growing. I felt so defeated, especially when it became a social issue and she didn't want to do sleepovers. I felt like a failure as a mom and a dental hygienist. I realized the tossing and turning was because she wasn't breathing well, but I was told I was a mom with an overactive imagination and she would outgrow it, just be patient. She grew into other problems. She wore braces 3 times, and it was all a breathing tongue problem. Once we worked on that, the bedwetting stopped. The dark circles went away. Once we focused on clearing her nose, training her tongue, it improved her sleep and the bedwetting stopped. So now I teach parents the same things that we went through that worked for us. One of the first things we did was check her breathing and clear her nose to help keep her out of fight or flight when she was sleeping. If you're struggling and your child is struggling, bedwetting, although common, is not normal. It can be a warning sign your child's body is trying to tell you something. So if you're feeling exhausted, frustrated, and you're unsure where to turn, just know you're not alone. I understand the toll this takes not on just the child, but the entire family, the stress, the laundry, the feeling of helplessness, and the lack of sleep. You don't have to navigate this alone. Click the link below, schedule a free discovery call with me, and we'll talk about what is going on and we'll figure this out together so you can have a happy, well-rested child and you can get sleep too. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. If it was, share with someone else you might know is having this problem because we're all in this together.